We've got audio, and we are beginning. Perfect. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious day of Shabbat, cloudy, which it would seem in which it would want to rain, but we don't know whether it would or not. But it's kind of cloudy, kind of sad, the sky completely covered, kind of chilly, but it is pleasing. We've entered into the second month of the year 5994 from creation. This corresponds to the third day of May of the year 2025, in which we shall study yet another chapter of the Spirit of the Feasts, part 30. We shall continue on with the study that we're having of Isaiah chapter 25 and 26. Today is the countdown of the Omer week to day 14. Is this countdown good for anything? Who knows? I mean, we use it. We're counting. We don't know whether it makes any sense or anything, but oh well, it takes us at least to Shavuot. Without any further ado, let us go ahead and seek our Elohim. Our Father that art in heaven, we give you thanks for life. We give you thanks because we can enjoy the Shabbat. We wish to know whether this countdown is good for anything, what good it is, or if you're going to fulfill anything that you have promised. It'd be good that we would at least have a countdown to know that you're going to fulfill what you have promised. We wish with all our being that you fulfill with everything that you have written about the Mashiach and the new kingdom, which will reign on this earth. All this we thank you for in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth: Javier Alejandro Aranda, Chile; Elias Juan Francisco Herrera, Colombia; Josue Alfredo Guerrero, Mexico; Lilian Claribel Hernandez, the US of A; Edwin Orlando Gregorio Mendez, the US of A; Carla Mari Ogando Mesa, the Dominican Republic; Erika Santos Magnolia Chaclan Zapeta, Guatemala; Neuma Macedo Cardoso, Brazil. To each and every one of you, a great big hug on behalf of the Eternal Truth, and we wish for it to be your last birthday under this government, this nefarious government that Yahweh established, being that of Babylon. Very well. Shemah Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh is one. This text will turn into a new text on the day in which the prophecies are fulfilled, which we are studying, when the whole earth will say, all of humanity, Yahweh, who's the new God, Elohim, Yahweh is one. It is one government, only one. There's not another. Also, it points to that, aside from everything else that we know. John 8:31-32 says, Then the Messiah said unto the Jews that had believed on him, If ye were to remain in my word, he highlights this text as we would do. It's not in the word of the prophets, not in the word of Moses, but in the word of the Messiah. Then you shall truly be my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. This world is imprisoned, that's why they are not free, of lies, and it's actually very difficult to take that cover away of the lies that the whole entire humanity has. Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word is concealed. The word is hidden. Yet it is the glory of the King, which is the Messiah, which is the group which will govern on this earth is to search out the Word. So many texts that we have repeated so many times, and we understand them in a very special way, how the text should be understood, and the rest of the people do not understand it. For example, I'll just give you a little story an anecdote. I did it just out of the fun of it. In Spanish it sounds different, but it did it just to know how the people act now, which are pretty enclosed, just for the fun of it, out of the curiosity, just for the heck of it, just for the fun of it. When we went with Leslie this week to look for the moon, we knew that we weren't going to see it from our home, and we went to a park and we noticed that it was very, very much towards the north, a lot more than usually. We went to a different park, and so then, being in that park, we waited until the sun went down and clarity would leave, and the moon appeared preciously there when we would come, because it was already hidden. There's a little path there in that park that goes up into a mountain, it's got cement about 200, 300 meters. Then it just becomes a dirt road. But it was becoming dark already, and it was already pretty empty. There was a little group, probably a couple here, a couple there, but we were walking towards the truck, and a bike coming down the path slowly, and we were walking, and already, I don't know, maybe because we live in this world with the experience that it gives you, I started with lots of attention, although it was from behind us, because we were going towards the parking lot where the cars were, where we had left the car. And so then this bike was coming down slowly, and we were walking, and it was behind us, but I was in my mind, who is the one behind us? Because that's the way we are. Not conspiracy theories, but we know those attitudes. So they were coming slowly, and we were about to enter into what the parking lot is. I don't know how they call it in Spanish. The bike was very much next to us, and then their speed went down. And although I wasn't looking back, all my senses were as if I was looking back in case we had to react in a different way. You just mentalize always, like I was ever told, we can't live in a green light all the time. We have to always be focused in what is going on in our surroundings. We can't live our life as if we lived like Alice in Wonderland. You have to see what every other person is doing next to you, and always be willing to act in a specific way, which the situation may require. So then precisely we're about to enter, the bike gets next to us, and I said, he's either going to ask us for money or with different intentions. And he slows down, so then I was already ready to whatever I would have to do. And the guy speaks to me. I was waiting, and the guy speaks to me. And he says, excuse me, in English. Sorry. And already, right there when I looked at him, when I focused my sight on him, ready to react to whatever. And he says, sorry, but I want to tell you something. And I was like, what, does he want money or what? So then I stopped, and Leslie kept walking a little bit forward, and he says, no, it's just that I saw that you were observing things. Have you seen, everything in English, by the way, have you watched the movie The Last Warning or The Great Warning? And I said, no, I haven't. What's it about? And you speak Spanish, right? Because he looked Latin, the faces show you what language they speak. He says, "Oh yes, yes, that's right. I'm sorry. I thought you know observing because we were taking pictures of them. And have you watched the movie of the last warning or the great warning?" I said, "No, no." It sounded like our video that is how we started of the last warning. What was it called? The last message? It sounded like the video that we made back in 2008. No, what's it about? Says, no, it's in Prime Video in Amazon. And it's about final events that will come. So then right there, I saw where he was coming from. And I said, no, tell me what's it about. What religion is it from? He says, no, we were living the last events of the earth, and everything will take very soon, and blah, blah, blah. The man was preaching to me. So I said, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, I also see signs all over the place. And so he says, what religion? Are you an Adventist? No, no, no. He says, no, no, I'm not an Adventist. I know the Adventist well. No, 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 I'm not an Adventist. I'm Catholic, he says. I was like, what is a Catholic preaching to me about? That's weird. He says, I'm a Catholic. But you have to watch that documentary because it shows that Jesus is coming already. Jesus is coming. I said, oh, wow. And why? What's it based on? No, it's based on all the events that will be one last warning for everyone. And those that understand that message, Jesus will save them, and the rest. What about the rest? I said, no, well, the rest. What about the rest? No, the rest, since they don't accept Jesus, they cannot accept Jesus. They're going to have to go elsewhere. Where? I said. Well, it's kind of like he didn't want to, well, he said they didn't want to accept the message of the kingdom. What kingdom? The new kingdom that Jesus will rule over. I said, oh, okay, that's fine. Where is it? So then I started to make conversation. All I said was, I'm going to see how the minds work, to tell the experience only to you, how the minds work, and how he's going to deny absolutely everything. The last thing I wanted is to tell him any truth, in the sense that I'm not here to give truths to people that I know that won't accept it. So then I stopped. We got to my truck. Leslie got in. And more relaxed, we started to talk there. He was still on his bike and said, no, the thing is that what happens is that the end of the world is coming. I also agree with that. The end of the world comes as we know it. He says, no, because Jesus is coming in the clouds. I said, okay. I said, and what are the signs that you're telling me about? So then he started to give me signs about the times and all the rest. It would seem to be an Adventist speaking. It was a Catholic. I couldn't believe it. So then I said, and what else? What if it isn't the way you think? Just tell me what would happen. No, it cannot be. He says, cannot be. It'll be the way I'm telling you, like it is in the Bible. I said, no, 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 no. Don't tell me the way it's in the Bible, because I know the Bible, and I always read it and every day, and I know pretty much about the Bible. Don't tell me how it is in the Bible. Tell me the way you think, the way you interpret it. What if it were different? He says, no, no, it can't be different. Jesus comes, the Son of God, and he will redeem those who believe on him. And those who don't believe on him, this is, well, they cannot live. They cannot live because they don't believe on him. That is why we have to give this last warning. I said, but what if the people don't believe in it? What about those that died? How do we give the last warning to those that died? Oh, well, the ones that died have already been judged. And I said, but if they were judged, those that died already, why do we give them a new warning to those that are alive now? Those who died didn't receive this last warning that you're telling me about, because I have lots of kin that didn't receive that warning. Why am I going to receive it, not them? So he stayed there thinking about how to respond to my odd questions. No, it's just that they received it in some way. Oh, so then I've already received it already. I don't have to receive that. We've all received it. The dead people have received it, and tell me that I have to watch something, but the dead people already watched it, then why watch it again? Because I would want to see it, and for the dead to see it, because the dead don't have a chance. And he says, no, 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 it isn't like that. How is it then? I said, how is it? No, the thing is that those that are alive now have more of a chance, right? Because I'm forcing him to say things that they don't want to say. They have more of a chance. You tell me that those that are alive have more of a chance than the dead. So then my dad and my grandma who died didn't accept anything, doesn't have a chance. And now I do have a chance. I don't think that's too fair. I said, no. And I was very serious. And the guy didn't know how to enter with the message that he had to give me. So then he says, well, that's how things are. Jesus wants to give us one last message now. And I says, I don't think that's fine. That he wants to give me one last message to me, and those that died already did not receive it. If they had received it by him, they would have accepted it, but they can't receive it because they're dead. So then I don't think it's too fair, all that. And also tell me something else. Why do you believe in what you believe? Who taught you that? No, it's what the Bible says. No. You learned it from somebody. You didn't sit there to read the Bible alone and you got that conclusion. You have to tell me the church where I go taught me that message and I believe it. It's not a message of yours, of your interpretation. So then he stayed there thinking, he said, well, I learned it from them. Fine, see? It's not that you reasoned it by reading it on your own. It's what your church teaches you. In this case, it's the Catholic Church, also about the message, because the Pope had died and everything. And I tell him, look, just start by answering something basic at the beginning to see if we understand who does evil in this world. He says the devil, Satan. See, that's where we start with the problem, because the Bible that you say that you read and that you accept, it says that God creates evil and that there's no evil that he does not create. And he stayed there thinking, no, but he does it. No. What do you mean he does it through somebody? No. What are you telling me? No, he does it. Why do you blame Satan? He does it. And the guy was already kind of upset. He didn't know what to answer. And I said, aside from the fact, let's go to the beginning of this, Adam and Eve. Who cursed them? Satan? No. God cursed them. Oh, God cursed them. And who sent us to die? Satan or God? God, he says, but because we listened to Satan. And says, how did we listen to Satan in eating the fruit? But Satan, the one that you're telling me didn't lie. He said the truth. No, he lied. No. What did he say? Tell me what he said. Well, the serpent, Adam said, and told the serpent, and if you eat out of the fruit, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be as gods, knowing good and evil. What did he lie? And it was a lie. He says, what do you mean it was a lie? If the Bible clearly says that as soon as they ate, their eyes were opened, and they noticed that they were naked. Were they were two stupid people? And he just stayed there thinking, and he says, no, you're misinterpreting. No. He says, it's not that I'm misinterpreting. It's what the Bible says. They were blind, yes or no? Tell me, they were blind, yes or no? He says, no, it's just that it's not that they were blind. No. Don't try to put words where they're not. The Bible says that they ate the fruit and their eyes were opened. And they noticed that they were naked and they felt shame. And he said, well, it is because of wickedness. No, it's not because of the wickedness. Not because of the wickedness. Their eyes were closed. And the fruit made their eyes were to be opened. And then God himself says, hey, these two are like one of us that know good and evil. And now they had become gods. Because God, the Creator himself said, them too, these people are like one of us that know good and evil. We're going to prohibit that they have access to the tree of life so that they don't live forever. So then the serpent lied in what? Lied in what? Tell me. He says, well, it's just that it was a lie. What was it a lie about? What was it a lie about? They opened their eyes, they became like gods. How was it a lie? No, the only one that didn't lie was the serpent. And he stayed there so confused, poor guy. And I said, well, the thing is that you studied the Bible wrong. He says, no, the thing is that you study the Bible under the optic of a church. And I don't even want to speak to you about my philosophy. I don't want to speak to you about anything because you won't understand it. You noticed how when Jesus spoke with Nicodemus, and Nicodemus was a specialist in the law, and he told him, just so you understand my message, you have to be born again. to a specialist in the law, he tells him that. So then I tell you the same thing, that in order for you to understand what I'm telling you, you have to abandon all of your beliefs like a child and to allow for this wisdom to comprehend it by taking out the previous information, or else we won't ever understand. Aside from the fact that you believe in a being of three people, yeah, the Holy Trinity. I said, but the Holy Trinity, it's a dogma of the Catholic Church. How can it be that God has a son to send? He says, no, you don't understand that it's a thing that cannot be understood. You cannot explain it. I understand already with what you're telling me, that it's unexplainable. How are you going to explain to me? Don't explain anything to me. You're telling me that it cannot be understood. St. Augustine said that it cannot be understood. Then obviously I'm telling you that it's stupidity. Because we have to understand. So then what do you mean there are three people? It's like, it's only one being, but continuously he generates a son, or what they say clearly. I said, but, so it's only one being. It's only one being. What do you mean that continuously he generates a son, and that son that it generates continually came to earth? No. Either he came or the son came generated on a permanent basis. It cannot be understood, aside from the fact that I could quote a whole bunch of text that says that the Messiah is human and is not divine, like born in heaven. And I said, and you know what? I'm going to watch what you recommended, something which I haven't watched yet, but I found the series. I'm going to watch it, but I told him I'm going to watch it out of curiosity because I like everything that is biblical and different interpretations. But I'm only going to tell you something, because he says, no, you know a lot about the Bible, I've noticed now. The guy said, you know a lot. And since the Bible says that to know a lot makes you crazy, that's what the guy said. I said, no. If you tell me that stupid thing that the many letters make you crazy and all that, then we should not even study anything, not even watch the video that you're telling me about. No. We have to study, like your apostle said, to study everything and retain that which is good. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Don't believe anything of what I said, but it won't happen of what you say. It won't happen that way. No, from heaven, no Jesus is ever coming, and the vision of the future that you have with the ending is very different to what you say that will take place. Just keep that in mind, and you'll do okay. If you close yourself out of that, then it won't be as good. If you say, well, there's a possibility that it might happen different, he says, no, I cannot do it that way. There's only one possibility. I give my life to Jesus, and Jesus comes, and those that do not accept will die. And I said, you see how you're too closed. I told you to leave a little space for another possibility, and you don't want to even accept. I said, no. He says, there's no other possibility. And I said, well, unfortunately for you, there isn't another possibility. Nothing what you believe will be fulfilled, but remember, watch my face, because one day we'll speak again, but nothing that will happen of what you think that will happen. It'll happen differently. That's all I'm telling you. And I want you to be very religious and very, how can I say this? What's this word? Very passionate for the scriptures. I think that's fine, but you have to understand it well. The moral of the story of all this, how difficult, so as to not say impossible, to convince a Christian that they are incorrect. Wow, how difficult that is. Because I gave him explanations that left them mute, as if, as that of that God creates evil, and giving them the text and all, they cannot see it. They have to close their eyes to see it. How difficult it is. Not impossible, but difficult. In other words, it'll be very difficult for them. That is the moral of the story. It'll be very difficult because they are entirely submerged in a lie. So then he and all the rest that come will say, Jeremiah 16:19 through 21, Yahweh, my strength and my stronghold, my refuge in the day of tribulation, unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, that Yahweh being the new God. Only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. He and everyone else will say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. There is no truth ever. Vanity to which there is no avail. If it is men that makes himself gods, then they're not gods. That is why, behold, I will make it be known unto you. This time I will show them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. They shall know that I am the new God of the earth. That is what the text says. Malachi 2:17, that is why we've got here, everyone here, against Yahweh, asking for him to install already, once and for all, the Elohim of justice. Malachi 2:17, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and ye say, in what have we wearied him? In that you say that whomever doeth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth, or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Where is the Elohim of justice? So then Yahweh says a tremendous prophecy of how he was going to come, in what way, and how he would come, the Elohim of justice, something that it wasn't him, but he was going to come in a way of a Messiah, the Elohim of justice. So then, that is why they're all here calling out to see when you call out that promise, when you give power to the Elohim of justice. Do you remember the last Shabbat? We talked about a subject that is delicate. The subject is delicate. We have to understand it well, in my words, and not to misunderstand it with our preconceptions of words and all the rest. When we're talking about mercy, that you cannot have mercy, and when I talk about mercy, it's to apply it correctly, because of course we have mercy with the whole human race, but mercy to keep a person in the wrong place and to save it by mercy, but without the person to be convinced that it's the truth. That would not be mercy, that would be a mistake. That's why mercy exists, and we have mercy of the whole world, but everyone has to be humbled, humiliated by the wrong beliefs. Well, keeping that in mind, last week, unfortunately, we all saw, because we're all from Boca, how Boca lost in the supermarket that is found in the north of Buenos Aires, that is called the supermarket of Changomas, just a giant chicken stand. We lost there. River won the name of chickens, or the nickname chickens, because they would act like chickens. So when they had to play important games, they would act in a very defensive way and they wouldn't win. Doing that many times, at some point in time, they won the name of chickens, which they become smaller. We went to go play even worse than a chicken. It wasn't Boca. It was the mistake of Riquelme of having brought that coach. I've told you I had the opinion very clearly, but I didn't want to say it so that it wouldn't be created. Because when you create, and if you say it, it starts to be created. So then I said, I'm going to reserve my opinion. I hope that it goes well. My opinion was for Gago. That sir cannot direct a big team. Sir, that lacks intelligence. And I've taught you that you should not be afraid of bad people. I prefer a bad president and not a stupid president. You have to fear stupidity. Stupidity is a lot more harmful and worse than to be a bad person, because a bad person knows what is right and wrong. Sometimes they decide for that which is wrong, sometimes not. But a stupid person will always decide for the stupidity, which is a lot more harmful than to be evil. You have to be terrified of stupidity, and when I detect stupid people, like Gago, because of what he did in the different clubs where he has been, you should not have mercy of giving him an opportunity. You cannot give them an opportunity to a stupid person and tell him, I'll give you a charge. I know that you're not capable. I know that you're an idiot, but I'll give it to you either way. No, you cannot have that type of mercy. The mercy would say, no, you're not good for this. You're not cut out for this. You're good for something else, but not for this. Gago should never have come to Boca, but Riquelme, which I think that he's already In my opinion, he's not doing great in the concept of intelligence. But oh well, let's leave it there. He brought Gago. Gago's a person, which about soccer, even if he thinks that he knows about it, he doesn't know. No matter how much he has played and stuff, doesn't matter. Here, you're either intelligent or not. You either have a little intelligence, lots of stupidity. There's no wickedness here. There's no wickedness. There could be, but that's not the case. There's stupidity. That's what it is here. And when you're stupid, you cannot have a charge of power, evidently. Gago was so stupid that seeing that his team was doing a lot better by attacking and not seeking refuge. Because it's a big team, the biggest in the world. Didn't have the intelligence of saying, if I go to that chicken stein, that supermarket, and I go and attack, even if I lose, the people will be okay with me. That would be an intelligent person speaking. But if I go and I defend like a chicken and I lose, the criticism will be monstrous. It is very different for Boca to lose, trying to win the game. He says, well, the players did everything they could, but soccer is soccer. They can hit it on the goalpost and right there, and that's it. And they could score from very far away, and it enters. So it was 900 seconds to see where it could go, but couldn't even imagine that it could enter there. And if he had a little more of intelligence than our goalpost, which is a goalpost, but he needed more intelligence, he could have seen all the goals of this guy from River that plays very well, that hits everything in that angle. He should have seen that being a lefty, to see that that's where he kicks on that angle. So then you did give him that angle. You tell the player, okay, hit it there. Go ahead and hit it there. So then you go here and there, and you're like that, the way he was there. But in the moment that he's going to kick, when he cannot change his decision, that's when you move 4 or 5 steps, and that ball cannot enter. It's not that it's a huge goal. Wow, I know that it looks like a goal. You say, what a goal. No, it's a mistake of the goalie. The goalie's mistake. Of course, you can't. It's not like you're gonna hit 60 meters, and that it comes down, and you still have time to run and to take it out of the angle. You cannot, if you're a soccer goalie, you cannot, that ball, even if the commentator said what a goal. No, it's a mistake of the goalie. The goalie should have seen that every goal that he has kicked isn't been in that angle. So then you give it to him and then you advance. That is where humans don't have intelligence. We need more intelligence. But oh well, there it is. That's the results. But that is on one side. On the other side, they didn't score 4 or 5 goals on us because we were either lucky or Yahweh didn't want them to just crush us that way, because they could have scored 4 or 5 goals. And no one could say anything because they came from everywhere. And we have 4 or 5 defenders. I told Gago, I told him through this means, but he didn't see him. I told him, do not give us 5 defenders. You don't be stupid. It's 5 defenders don't know how to defend. The small teams that train every day with 5 defenders, which is their way of playing soccer, then they are used to playing with 5 defenders that defend well, and it's very difficult to enter into those. They're humble teams that don't have a lot of talent to attack, and they have players that are not of the elite of the millionaire teams and that talent, but they can defend. So what are they working? They work all week, every day. The positions, they're a line of 5 that actually it's not a straight line like Boca used, but rather they are, switching back and forth, and that is how they relevate. Gago said 5 back, and the 5 were 1 more lost than the other. No one knew what position to play. They were all in line. No one would advance to relieve 2-1. No, they would cross the line. There was no one left for the goalie. You could advance no matter if you put 8 defenders or 10. It's the same thing. A line like this, no one knows how to defend. And of course, since we don't play that way, we don't know how to defend with 5. And it's not that they're bad players. No, we don't know how to defend with 5. We weren't trained to defend with 5. We have mentality that's not a lot more. Boca has an offensive mentality. But of course, A team like that, of that type of DNA, you make them defend, and no one knows how to fucking defend. Fight back, we don't have a line. They pass us like nothing, and they could have scored 5 on us. It was by miracle that didn't score 5 on us, by miracle. But Gago paid the consequences, because you should not have mercy. I said it when we lost against Alianza Lima, a small team like this. Gago should have resigned. People had mercy on him. That's where the problem is. You should not have mercy with stupidity. You have to set things in their place. You didn't get to the objective or enter into the Copa Libertadores. That's what we brought you for. Thank you for everything. His name would not be Gago, but Cago, which means I shit. It means I shit in Spanish. Cago. His name is I shit. Cago. So he made play Boca like shit, and that is how we entered into the chicken stand, like shitters. That's how we went there, because it's in his personality. A person that you look at his face, he has his face like this, droopy, with droopy eyes like this, with droopy eyes like this. And this, how the fuck are we gonna, as a team, gonna go on attack? When have you seen a champion coach with that face? With that face like this? No, you can't. No, you can't. The stupidity is represented in people like that. For that very reason, he had to leave. And good thing he left. But everything happened because of having mercy. You cannot have mercy when someone is not adept for the charge. Then they have to be switched. If Yahweh would make a mistake in looking for the Messiah, let's suppose, if he would make a mistake and look for the Messiah, what happens is that there's no replacement prophesied for the Messiah. There isn't. He cannot look for a person with a low level of intelligence. He has to look for or design a person that has the enough intelligence to fulfill, to play the role. If he doesn't play that, then the choice was wrong. I was thinking this week, and things that I've said, and speaking about Boca tomorrow, we speak again. Let's see if we win. The trainer that will train us is a temporary trainer, which I like personally. His name is Erron. Maybe his last name is not going to help us a lot. Right, of course, because sometimes I measure the people, not that I measure them, but sometimes we are doomed by our names. Erron means error, like huge error. But I like a personality that the guy has. The guy trains the reserve of Boca, in other words, the level which follows the professionals, which is how they come up from the inferiors to the reserve. I like the way Erron plays, and he has 4-4-2. When I say 4-4-2, it could be 4-3-2-1. I call it 4-4-2. 4 defenders, 3 in the midfielder, 1 a little more forward, which is the function of number 10. Whatever 4-4-2, 4-5-1, or 4-3-1-2, or 4-3-2-1. I love it. But with 4 defenders in the midfield, populated forwards, 1 or 2 forwards. It depends, because the midfielders become forwards when they advance. So then I believe that it will do okay, super well. The numbers that are sending around it, I don't like any of them. I don't like Milito, some guy that plays with a line of 3, and the same thing. I don't like any of them. And I'm like, wow, those coaches, I don't like any of them. But well, that's what soccer is about. And taking it out, tomorrow we play. Taking it out, which is a life lesson. That's why I bring it up. And I apply it. How to not have mercy. When a person, it's kind of like if Elohim were to test you. Elohim were to test you. You might say, no. It's not that he tests you. He already designs you, that's fine. But either way, you have to be tested either way. You have to be tested. I've already told you this experience. I've told you this. But this week I was meditating about this and I said, wow, that experience, in order to understand this, Elohim will demonstrate to every religion their way of thinking. I've already told you this. Bring the group of the Jews, and so then the question is in the air. What are you going to do? And you're the Messiah. So then they're going to answer what they'll do. But we'll place all the goyim, like our servants. We're going to direct the word. We're going to implement the Torah. We're going to make a temple. We're going to make sacrifices to our God. We're going to place centers of justice guided by rabbis, and we're going to implement the 7 laws of Noah, which they invented or rewrote. So then we're going to allow for the people to be able to do other things different to us. But if they do certain things that we believe that are wrong, we're going to condemn them to death. That is our program for the new earth. And that is how they tell you. So then we ask the Christians. The Christians, there are different visions, but mostly is those that believe in Jesus, those who follow Jesus, those who ask Jesus to forgive them, those who accept basically that Jesus is their God and their Lord who died for them, then Jesus will have mercy for them and will forgive them. And the rest that does not accept Jesus, they go directly to hell. It could be eternal, it could be hell of destruction. Some add other details that you have to accept Jesus, always the Christians, but you have to follow certain things. You have to follow with the Sabbath, the laws. Others add other things. You have to belong to this church. Others add other things. You have to do missionary work like the Jehovah's Witnesses that were wandering around here. But basically that is the idea of their world. God would ask them, well, what are they going to do? If I give them the earth, what are they going to do? All those that don't follow your son Jesus, we'll send them to hell. The rest, they have different variations. Those who accept Jesus will all be under your government of Jesus, and we're going to live here. That is the religion. And if we were to ask the Arabs, I mean, don't even mention it, they're going to answer it. So then if we were to say, let's say the religious groups that give them the Bible, what do they believe in? It made me remember a unique experience that I've had. That if I were to answer it wrong, I would lose something that I wanted to obtain. And it was something about ask what you'll do. Just like that. The same thing that I've told you about. When I bought this house, when I saw it, it had the for sale sign. My neighbor, which I didn't know yet, he said, oh yeah, I'm the realtor, but it's already been sold, he says. And I said, what, it's already been sold? Yeah, it's already been sold. No, I want it, I said. But it's been sold. I said, but look, the owner's coming. The owner's coming this hour. If you want to come. And I said, look, I'll offer $50,000 over what it's worth. I'll offer him that. So then the guy says, that's interesting. But come. Come at 2. Because the sale will be offered around 4, and he'll be here, and it'll be signed at 4. It's already sold, but the escrow will be signed at this time. And I came with Leslie at 2. My neighbor Philip came. That's where I met him. His wife that already passed away, and the owner of the house, an American. So then I said, do you allow me to see it? Because I want to buy it. Yeah, that's fine, but it's almost sold, but come see it. I entered into the house. I looked everywhere. And the guy, and I told him, look, I can pay you a little more money. Yeah, he says, I understand and all. He says, but I want to ask you 2 questions. It's the same thing that I'm telling you. Yahweh asks, what are you going to do with the earth if I give it to you? They asked me, what will you do with this? And what I didn't know was so natural. The question was, I did not know that out of my answer, it would depend. That's what it would depend of, whether they would give me the house or not. I didn't know that. I didn't know what answer the guy was looking for. The only thing that was going to evaluate was him. So then he asked me, he says, you see this wooden shed here? He asked me, and I said, I'm a painter, I'm a contractor. You see this shed here? Do you like it like that? Will you paint it? He tempted me. He tried me right there. I looked at him and I said, oh no. To paint it would be a sin. It looks like wood, and even if it looks kind of old like that, we have to conserve the wooden. He looked at me, huh? This is, and you see that dog there? An enormous dog. Type of, it was a type, one of those dogs, like a German Shepherd, but fatter and hairier and a face like that. You see that dog there? I said, yeah. He said, that dog likes this house a lot. The owner that left picked him up, and the dog stayed. What are you gonna do with that dog? What would you do with that dog? An enormous dog, we're saying, it was kind of like 100 pounds, almost kind of like, I don't know, let's say 50 kilos, a huge dog like this. What are you gonna do with that dog? He says. More than 100 pounds. What are you gonna do with that dog? He says. I looked at the dog and I tell him, no, if you sell me the house, if I buy the house and you sell it to me, that dog stays. It's mine. The dog will be mine. That's what was born out of me to say. And the guy said, okay, the house is yours. It only depended on that. And the guy told me, if you were to tell me that you were going to paint the shed or that you weren't going to keep the dog, I would not sell you the house. It just depended on those two questions. It had nothing to do with anything else. The guy was testing me what I would do with the dog. And to all this, to those that didn't hear me, and then the buyer got there, and the guy came out. He didn't even let him come out. He came out, and I looked from within, and the guy was going like this, and he started to cry. The guy was crying because the owner told him, I'm sorry, the house is sold. And the guy said, but you said you were going to sell it. I'm not going to sell it. And the house is sold. And this is for whomever I want to sell it. The guy couldn't do anything. He had not signed the paperwork yet. And he sold it to me because I told him that I was going to stay with the dog. Because I wasn't going to touch the roofs. I mean, what the fuck does an owner care about? Tell me, what the fuck does an owner cares about if he's going to sell the property? It matters. It matters a lot. Because Yahweh will give us something. And he asks us, asks all of us, what are you going to do if I give this? We're going to kill all those that do not accept. Okay. And he asks another, what are you going to do? We're going to make them, all these sons of bitches, a slave. Oh, okay. And we're going to make a temple for you. And he says, okay. And you, what are you going to do? We're going to resurrect everyone. We're going to save everyone. We're going to repair everyone. We're going to teach everyone. We're going to make all your creation to live entirely, and we're going to teach them to act well. We're going to make this bigger. We're going to make it a lot more beautiful. We're going to have a spectacular kingdom. Oh, okay. So then I'll give it to you. It's as simple as that. This happened to me. In order to understand this, it is clear that an owner, it still matters. The property still matters for him, or what he's going to hand over, even when it stops being his. It's happened to me. I've seen it. They're going to send a car to a guy, and you look at him, and he's just, and he's going to undo it, and they're not going to sell it to you. I'm talking about a car. The guy that sold me the house, what the fuck did he care what I was going to do with the house or the dog? If already once he sold it to me, it would no longer be his. And even if you're the creator of this, just imagine that that guy had been the one that created this house. In other words, the original owner of this. So then, can you imagine? Just imagine that the creator of all this is looking for a new owner, but that fulfills the objectives that he wants them to have, his creation. What a better objective than for his whole entire creation to live and learn and understand and grow to one that wants to kill the 90% and to go back with a nefarious religion that he created to confuse people, and another one that doesn't even exist, like Christianity. I mean, it is very clear the experience that I've had in order to understand whom Yahweh would hand the earth over to, if he'll hand it over someday. So then this is our proposal. This is the proposal. We're going to do this with your creation. So then he evaluates the things and he says, okay. So then I hand it over to those, what I want it to be done on the earth. And that is what will take place. And I found it to be very interesting because I've meditated a lot in that. I've had a previous experience like that, and with the house that we're doing here, where we're at, impressive the things that Elohim makes us go through. Isaiah 23:3. The Spanish, the simple language version. Our God, although other gods have dominated over us, you are our only God. The whole world will say that. The whole world that enters into the kingdom will say exactly this. Let's see how many likes we have. 127 likes and 227 watching. All those that forgot to give us a like, please. Even though you are an enemy, it'll all be discovered in life, and everything will have its either punishment or reward. So then all those that came to any video of mine and they put a thumbs down, they're going to have to say why they did that, and they're going to have to ask to be forgiven. It always happens the same thing. It's not that it's going to be free. You're not going to be scot-free or anonymous. All those who, at some point in time, they wrote negative comments and they put a thumbs down, they're going to have to ask to be forgiven and say, we're asses. You can call us gago because of not understanding, because of being actual idiots. Forgive us. I had the opportunity of putting a thumbs up, and I put it down because I'm an imbecile. I was an imbecile. And now I would place every day thumbs up. Tell me, what do I have to do? But they have to recognize it won't be that way. Every person that at some point in time they put a thumbs down, that person will have to say why. It won't stay that way. No action in that style can stay that way. Because they can't just say, oh yes, I accept that everything. And how many times did you put a thumbs down, you son of a 1,000 bitches? How many times? How many times did you not give us a comment, or you put a negative comment? You're going to have to revert it. That's what justice is. You're going to have to revert it, recognize that you made a mistake. Here you have to recognize the humiliation. That is why I've told you. Think well about all the things you do, because sometimes the things that we do and we do wrong, you'll have to humble yourselves. There's no other option. There's no that about it that is just forgotten. No, it'll be brought up and said, you did that, right? Yeah, but I didn't understand anything. Okay, you'll have to say it. At that time, I was a stupid idiot. I didn't understand the thing. I made a mistake. And if I could turn back time and understand what I understand now, I would not do it. That, everything that we do wrong, we have to pay consequences for. That is why it's so important to always act well, because of what we do wrong, we're going to pay consequences thereof. We're going to have to humble ourselves for the bad actions that we have done. While we do not, as long as we don't humble ourselves, there won't be healing. I'll give you an example. If you have a friend, and your friend did something wrong to you, and the years pass, and then you meet the friend, and you, because of the love that you have towards him and everything, you start to speak to him again, you invite him over, and you become friends again. And the problem that happened, in order for there not to be a problem, a rupture, they leave it there buried. That's not right. That is what you call an elephant in the room, and present and there, but they're there. And as long as the relationship is not broken, nobody says a thing. Let's say, let us not mix up the shit because it brings a bad odor. They said, no, that's in the past already. No, 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 it's not in the past. In order for there not to be an elephant in the room, an invisible one, but is there ever present, because when they do, they know that something happened, something bad. But both of them hypocritically cover it so as to not bring that over, and for them not to bring that up again. No, they have to fix that and fix that. To ask to be forgiven, the one that had the fault and the humbleness in order to have that position again, or else there's always an elephant in the room, and that elephant is ever present there. Every time you see it, even if you don't want to show that face, I know. But I won't say nothing. No one says, that's fine. It's kind of like it's been forgotten. No, nothing is forgotten here. If it's not fixed, nothing is forgotten. So then only one thumb down is not obligated. I won't forget it. I don't know who it is, but I won't forget it. But someday I'll find him. This is how you're so vengeful. No, I'm not vengeful. Not at all. I am merciful. And that is why I say everyone has to humble themselves because of the things that happen. The same thing is with those that cooperate with money for this message and those that don't. That is left for history in the books. To cooperate with the eternal truth, if this were like a stock market, it is what pays immensely something that is even more than something else of investing my money. Why? Because that's the way it'll be. Because what it'll return in the future, the eternal truth will, is exponentially to those that didn't give it anything or didn't cooperate. Or they always said, I don't have money. I tell the truth if I could, but no. How do you think that they're going to receive? Because this is like a stock market. It's just that to buy actions in the eternal truth will give you exponentially an earning later. And now it also gives you an earning, but later. So then all those, it is registered. In this universe, everything is registered. And those that cooperated is not left like those that did not cooperate, because it would not be just some guy kills himself religiously after they say, and with the effect they cooperate and others don't. No, nothing. They want to make, I want to be a part of this group. Don't think that won't have its repercussions afterwards. If we didn't, then it'd be very unfair with those that did. Completely unfair. Like the stock market, you're going to have your benefits very different than to those that cooperated here than those that did not cooperate. It is very clear. That's the way it is. That's how it is with everything. I tell you, every action has a reaction. Every action, and this is physics. If you went to the college, you've studied that every action has an equal reaction. There's no actions that don't have a reaction, and that reaction will come. Oh, it'll always come, that reaction. Absolutely, it'll come. Every comment you give, every positive thing that you do, you will harvest greatly every negative thing that you do. It'll have great humiliation because you're going to be humiliated, because that is a part of the healing process, and it is left precisely. It's not an elephant left in the room. Just an example. I don't want to. I mean, everyone, let them understand my words more than enough, than clear. John 6:63. The Spirit is the one that quickeneth. The Spirit is the one that quickeneth, that giveth life. The flesh availeth nothing. The words which I have spoken unto you, they are spirit, and they are life. The words that the Messiah speaks, they are spirit and they are life. The rest are nothing. Death. Just empty. It's no good. Let us go to Isaiah. Isaiah, and we'll start by reading this. Isaiah chapter 9, 1 through 6 or 7 says, "Yet there will always be darkness for the one that is in anguish now, just like the affliction that came to her in the time in which they touched on the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali." I want to pause right there. Just pause right there. It came to mind this about the action and reaction. Yahweh, in the form of the Messiah, in Matthew chapter 25, he says that he gathers the nations. And he says, "You, those of the right, come and enjoy the kingdom of my Father." He says, "Come and enjoy the kingdom of God." And the people, many of them will say, "Why me? Why me? Why? Well, you, because you fed me when I was hungry. You, because you dressed me when I was naked. You, because when I was in prison, you came and visited me." And those kinds of things, right? Those are examples of many things. Some guys are surprised, but when? I didn't even know you. We've never met you. When did we ever feed you? Well, when you did it to one of my least little ones, you did it unto me. That action. Look at how clear is this example. The people that have done good actions will be recognized those good actions well. The people that did not do good actions will say, "But when did we see you and we didn't feed you?" Well, when you didn't feed one of these little ones there. When you didn't do kind things to other people, I was represented in those people. The Messiah was represented in other people. When you didn't do it to them, you didn't do it to me. And if you didn't do it to me, then off with you into the eternal fire. In other words, into humiliation. That's the way it is. Yes, it's yes to the humiliation. But when? When you put a thumbs down, for example. It's unacceptable for a stupid idiot to come and tell me, defending another stupid idiot that write in our channel, saying, "You get upset, there's no way to answer a simple question." First of all, it was not a simple question, and then the question, and another defender, sometimes they're so stupid that they defend each other. As stupidity, I can understand it. It doesn't enter into my mind. I cannot understand it. But not the stupidity. But then another stupid idiot that comes that I don't understand and defends another idiot about something stupid, so then I cannot comprehend it. But they defend each other and they attack what they should not attack. Okay, they'll be humbled to the very floor, and I'll make sure that they are humbled in every aspect. That is why the Messiah gathers the nations and says, "Come here, you've always been a bad person for this, this, and that." "No, because I went to church." "No, you didn't do it to me. You did it to that false god that you worship. You didn't do it to me. Because you should have done this good action. You should have done this other good action. You should not have stolen. You should not have done this bad action. You did it directly to me." In other words, humanity. You will pay. And you? "No, many are going to say, I wasn't even religious. I don't deserve to be here." No. You were a very good person. You had a good heart. You had good actions. I don't care if you were going to church, you prayed to God, and you crossed yourself. No, I don't care about that. I don't evaluate that. Matthew 25 says that. I don't evaluate that. I evaluate other things. And those things, that is why that you're in that group. Because you were a good human being. You were a good Samaritan, per se, as the parable of the Good Samaritan says. In exchange, these religious people don't. It could also be non-religious. They don't. Because they did not help humanity. But these here, it says, and then a Japanese person will come and say, or a Chinese person says, "What about me? I didn't do anything good." Well, you did something good. You invented the cell phone, you invented this electronics, you made my life easier. If it weren't because of your inventions and all the rest, I could not have spoken to all the people. Of course, you did a huge benefit to the kingdom. They're like, but yes, to the kingdom. But I was atheist, I hated God. That's fine. We all hated God at some point in time or some measure or circumstance. But you did good actions because you cooperated with humanity. You made the best products in your company and you helped us. Things came from China, from this and that, and you made our lives easier. You invented something. How great for inventing something is the same thing as to give a glass of water to someone. Same thing, because that right there is only an example. An example of how we help humanity. So then humanity will be divided in between the people that helped humanity and people that did not help humanity. That is the difference, not whether they served God or not. No, no, no. If they served humanity or they didn't serve it, that is how both groups will be based. You humiliated and you will be made great. It's as simple as that. Very simple to understand. That is what justice is. That is what justice is. Moving on. For finally, at the end of times, and shall fill with glory the way of the sea, beyond the Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. Not in Israel, but in Galilee of the Gentiles. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of shadow of death, where we all dwell, where we were born and live, upon them hath the light shined. Thou hast multiplied the nation, and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy in harvest, and does man rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, and the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled and blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For all this because, who will produce all this? For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called a Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting God, the New God, the Everlasting Father, Father for all eternity, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace of his empire, there shall be no end. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom. It's talking about the Messiah. To order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice. That is why I tell you, when the people ask for justice, sometimes they don't know what they ask for. They don't understand what they ask for. For those that are wicked, ask for justice, and they will receive the justice, but it will also fall upon them. It falls upon every one of their wickedness. No one will be left unpunished of bad actions that we have committed. Because, or else, it would be an unfair life and an unjust justice. So then, and when I speak about bad actions, I'm not speaking about sins like the Christian mind has. I'm not talking about sexuality you've had. No, I'm not talking about that. No, not that. I could care less about. What I care about is whether you hurt another human being. If you did not give them something that you needed and you took it out of them. If being able to help them, you didn't help them. I'm not talking about laws to, I don't know, not to show something or to escape from a situation. No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about injuries against a human being. If you lied in the perjury of another human being, you'll pay for it. You have to pay for it because humans have suffered hurt, and that harm is left in the space of time as something pending, a great elephant. Don't think that everything's erased, it's deleted. I did that wickedness, it's all deleted. I've asked Jesus to forgive me and it's deleted. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. I'll tell it to you right now. Even if you listen to me, even you will have to repair the faults that you have committed. I'll tell it to you right now. If you've done wicked things against the people, and I'm talking about, and always against the people, because humans take this saying, oh, I've done many sins. No, 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 I'm not talking about sins. I'm talking about wickedness against humans. That's what I'm talking about. That you stole something and you never gave it back. That you lied about a person and you never said the truth and fixed that problem. That you killed a person, for example, and everything was left just like that and no one knows a thing. An extreme case. That you put a thumbs down where you shouldn't. You did things that you should not have done. Those things you'll have to repair. Just like that. It's not going to be left that way, unpunished, or else there's no justice. Justice is to repair what was done wrong. If I lied about a person and I do not fix that situation, someday I will have to be humiliated and humble myself before that person and before the people that believed my lies, because if I lied and the people believed me, I'm going to have to humiliate myself before that person. But if I lied against that person and I stained that person and I did for the mind of other people to believe something of a person that didn't do such a thing, but I generated that, I'm going to have to humiliate myself to the floor. Every person that said something about my person. And I'll just give that example. The same thing as you. It's not going to be left unpunished. If somebody says he has a house in Montana, you're going to have to say it, and to every person you said it to and everyone that said that she was a liar, that she allowed herself to be guided by her wicked soul. She could not suffer that she was in the person of a person that she could not comprehend, and she wanted to hurt him. But it was just harm from her side, and she has to ask to be forgiven for that. The same thing in every false accusation of yours. That's what I tell you. Be careful with the actions of your words. Don't ever lie about a person. Don't ever raise a false accusation. Don't ever steal, because you're going to have to give it back. That thou shalt not steal. It is very clear with the Elohim of justice, you will not steal now or ever. You stole, you're going to have to give it back and ask to be forgiven, and to ask to be forgiven for the harm you caused and repair it. So then, it'll be a true justice. Nothing is left forgotten. Nothing is left like an elephant in the room. No, 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 no. There could not be a just kingdom that way. And of course, many listening to me now, it is very harsh what I'm saying. For others, they say, I find it to be perfect. Careful. There are things in your subconscious that you do not accept it as a lie, but it is a lie, and you have lied, and you have to accept all that. I'm saying it for you, and I say it for everyone. For everyone, the whole humanity, every lie, every wickedness, every unfair act will have to be repaired, or else there will be no healing. Isaiah 25. Yahweh, which is the new God of the earth. You are my God. We could say, you are my new God. I shall exalt thee and will praise thy name, for thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels of old are faithfulness and truth. I'll continue on with what I've been telling you. Every pastor that spoke lies, which were all of them, will have to gather all of their members of the church and all those who influenced them and tell them, I lie to you. I lie to you, even if I was telling you the truth of what I understood, I was telling you a lie, an entire lie. For example, my parents. It cannot be unpunished. It doesn't matter if he did something good for someone. It'll be taken into account. It'll be taken into account. But every preaching of theirs based in a false god, in a erroneous Christianity, in a prophetess that is absolutely stupid, he'll say all of his sermons, undo them, and say, tell the truth, what I was preaching was a lie. I did it with all of my conscience, thinking that it was true. It's not that I lied to you consciously. No, I was deceived, and I was just used like a tool to continue repeating the lie. So then when I would tell you, this is a sin, this is this way and that, and you have to kneel down, it was a lie. When I would tell you, let us sing and praise God, we were not praising anyone, it was a lie. Now I see it, because we had created false gods, and that was utilized to seduce you, to correct you, and direct you to a false god. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it. The doctors applying things erroneously, they're going to have to ask to be forgiven. The professors, those who teach science, we would teach them that the earth was a ball that spun. It was a lie. It was a lie. I want to have them to be humbled to the dust. To the dust, and to repeat, I don't know, 1,000 years, I don't know. 1,000 years repeating, I'm an idiot, I believe in the globe, I'm a complete idiot, I believe in the globe. And to top it off, I would teach the globe. I would treat those that believe that the earth is flat as idiots. And yes, I'm a complete idiot. And yeah, almost they should have a stigmata saying I'm a complete idiot. And since I would not repent in time, and I would change my way of seeing and teaching things, now I have to bear a mark until it satisfies the justice. Just like that, they're not going to be unpunished. Some guy that teaches in university online and teaches and does debates and thus teaches stupid things, they're not going to be immune. They're going to have to undo every lie that they did, and has to be forgiven. And yes, I used to believe in that, but that shows how stupid I was. I was a complete idiot. I want to hear that. I want to hear that. They have to be done. I was a doctor in science, but I was an imbecile, a doctor in stupidity. I graduated as a doctor in stupidity, as a doctor in theology, doctor in stupidity, in medical science also in science. They're absolutely idiots, those who teach evolution, all those types of things. That is what justice is. They're not going to be, now I understand everything, now I repent of anything, let me enter into the new kingdom. Yes, of course, but you have to undo a couple things. What did you do? Oh, you used to teach that, right? Remember you used to teach that? Oh, yeah. We have a record. You teach this, and that, thousands of people, and you teach it on YouTube. Everyone that saw you on YouTube, we have the whole registration here. You have to ask to be forgiven. I know that they know the truth already, because they saw you and you convinced them. You have to ask to be forgiven, saying, I'm an idiot. You saw me? Okay, I'm an idiot. Forgive me. I'm an idiot. I will never make another video ever again. I'm an imbecile. That is what justice is. If you didn't do it that way, there's no justice. There's not just a forgiveness and we delete everything and start over. No. It'll start once we delete. And in order for that, there has to be a humiliation. It's not that as got this far, we'll forget everything. That's it. It's over. Oh, no. Nothing is forgotten until you repair it. Then you can forget it. Or else it would be very simple. Or else we'd be Christians. Christ covers you. The blood of Christ covers you. Everything that you did in the past was been repaired. No, hold on. Everything that you did and all the wickedness you did has been forgiven just like that. Yeah, because now I believe in Jesus. But you're a son of 1,000 bitches. That's what you are. You're dog shit. You did this and grave things. No, but Jesus forgave me. Jesus forgave me. And so then they teach us They teach us that some guy comes and grapes one of your children, and then they grab them in jail. And if you're very Christian, you have to go and say, "Yeah, forgive you." Well, hold on. What are you forgiving? So that the guy, he has to work on something to repair that. In order for us to forgive you, yeah, we'll forgive you, but you have to do some work. This whole work you have to do first. Then we'll say, "Okay, now I forgive you. You've done this. This is what justice is." But Christianity teaches you that we have to forgive. Like somewhere was said by Yeshua, that to forgive those who owe us, yes, we forgive them, but the debtors, they have to do reparations completely. They have to do reparations, or else it is a cheap salvation. And salvation does not convert anyone, because the Christians that feel forgiven by Jesus have not done any reparations, and actually they have not done anything in respects to the wickedness that they've done. So then it is an injustice that is, it's a justice that is injustice. The Christian justice is an unjust one, and those that don't believe in Jesus but they did good works, oh, it's no good. They say, but hold on, I didn't hurt anyone. That's it. And what about those that hurt half the world, but they repent and accept Jesus? Oh, he's saved. That is a dog shit justice. There's no justice. There's no justice. Sure, I've worried more than one. If those are the things, then there's no escape. You cannot just say, "Oh, okay, if those not are the things, it's better to not get married." No, there's no escape. So then you have to fix things. You have to fix things. They will not be left unpunished. And I'm playing around to the least detail of putting the thumbs down with a subject that is so brilliant. I'm just playing with that. Imagine with those things that are really ugly. It'll be paid for. What did the Messiah say? You will not be left the prison until what? Until you don't pay for the last dime, the last penny of wickedness you've done. You will not be left. You will not get out of there. It's not that, oh, now you're free and everything that I owe, it's been forgiven. Oh, no, sir. You will not get out of there until you pay for the very last dime. 2. Why do they exalt the new God? For thou hast made the city, in other words, the system of Babylon, an heap, a defense city, which was a fortress inaccessible, turned it into ruin, a palace of strangers, to not be a city. It shall never be rebuilt. That fortress, which is Babylon, destroyed, never again rebuilt. Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee. The city of the terrible nations shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the terrible ones is a storm against the wall. Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers, as the heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the terrible ones shall be brought low. I like that word. That is how you will humble down the pride. 6. And Jehovah of hosts, in other words, the new God of the earth, in this mountain, in his new capital, shall make unto all the people, all of them, a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the lees well refined. I've explained all this. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. He will take that cover away, which is all a lie that Yahweh has placed. And the veil that surrounds all the nations, all of them. And all of them means all of them. Even the nation of Israel, or the Jews, all of them. The Messiah, the new God of the earth, comes to take away. All these texts Uh, it's find them so fascinating that I can't wait for them to be fulfilled. He will destroy the dead. No, not the dead. He will destroy death forever. He will destroy death in victory. That text is absolutely marvelous. And will wipe away, Yahweh the Lord, all tears from all faces. How is Yahweh gonna wipe all the tears or dry the tears of all faces? This is a metaphor also. The tears of the faces are of pain that we carry in the soul. And the pain that we carry in the soul is because of the things that we have suffered, that they've done to us, that they've taken away from us, and of people that have died. It's not that Yahweh comes and with a power and says, oh, you feel sad? You feel alone? You feel very that this life is no good for everything you've suffered? I'll take it out of you miraculously, and now you're happy. So then they have a face like this, and he draws a smile. No, that's not the way it is. It's not the way it is. To dry the tears of the faces of everyone means to do justice of all that have done injustice, starting with the greatest unjust of them all, which is Yahweh. All of the injustice of Yahweh has to be reverted. That is part of drying up the tears, but the injustice of the human beings towards that person also. So then, when things start to be repaired, one by one, that is when the pain, which represents the tears in the face, it's not that we're crying. It's not that we're crying, but we cry from within, per se, that pain. That is when those tears are dried, because the soul or the person feels the satisfaction of justice. Justice in every aspect, the divine one, which was towards us, and the human one towards us, and ours also. Because our own injustice does not give us joy, it gives us sadness and crying. When we are unjust, at first it may seem that it's fun and we have an advantage, but that brings pain to the soul, because actually we are not people who enjoy it, even if it would seem that it would, on some it could be. We cannot be happy doing wickedness. We cannot feel achieved by being like that. Embitters us in our soul. When we repair our own injustice towards the rest, it will bring us self-value, and that self-value takes away the anguish and the tears. And when the injustice of the rest and of God is also reverted and repaired, the tears will be dried up. In that aspect, the Messiah comes to, in order for every person to feel that justice has been made. And I'm talking pleasurable justice, not the destruction of someone that did wrong, but that person that did wrong repairs everything. There is where it'll cause for his tears to be dried up. Then it says, and he shall swallow up death in victory, and Yahweh the Lord, the new God of the earth, will wipe away all tears from off all faces. And the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off the earth. The rebuke that they have received on behalf of God, and also the rebuke that he has received on behalf of human beings themselves, and their own rebuke. Because when we act in a wrong way, we also rebuke ourselves. I mean, it's so much so that if a person has to tell the things that they did, and tell them because out of shame, because they feel shame of what they've done. They would not want for anyone to know what they've done, because they would be ashamed for another to know what you've done. That is an own rebuke. Of course, we rebuke ourselves. Of course, we keep it there, enclosed, for no one to know, and sometimes the people tell secrets to other people that think that they're their friends because they have a need to tell it to someone. Because now understand in the Germanic medicine it says that if you live it alone, then it's worse. And what is unleashed is a whole bunch of possible DHSs and conflicts. So then the people sometimes tell things that they've done. And those people reveal it to the public. And then later, the shame that they receive, they don't even know where to hide. Well, that own rebuke, the rebuke that the rest have done, and the rebuke that Yahweh has done, is the rebuke that we're talking about. He shall take the front, the rebuke from all person. No person's going to have to live with the front of, I know what you did. I know what you've done. No. Because we all know what they've done and repaired it, for example. For Yahweh has said it. Why? Only for the simple, because the new God of the earth says it, it'll be so. If it isn't so, then he doesn't want anything. If it isn't so, he doesn't want a kingdom, doesn't want anything, doesn't want a group of people with great elephants in the room and their soul everywhere that have a whole bunch of pending things to fix. No, it doesn't want that. That's why we stay here. And under this cover that covers everything, the injustice covers everything until we die. Now, the new God of the earth says this is over. In order to take the rebuke, the front, from a person, they have to go to the humiliation, for example. In order to take the front away from what Fernando Cago did, Fernando, I shit myself, which would be translated as, he has to kneel down in the bombonera and say, I want you to forgive me. All of you. The fans here, the fans over there, Christian who's in Riverside, all of LVE, to forgive me because I am Fernando Cago. Fernando, I shit myself and I shit myself. My intelligence was not enough. My fear surpassed me. I thought because I'm an idiot. You have to comprehend it. My mind, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. You have to comprehend it. I want you to hear me. My mind thought that it was better to play with 5 defenders because River was going to attack us and I could defend myself for them not to score so much. And if maybe Benentiel would go out and we would scare a little bit, we'll score a little bit, but I want you to forgive me because it did not take place because in my mind, it is a mind of cago, of I shit myself. And I'm not here to be able to lead this team. So then I'm out of here. I want you to forgive me if I hurt you. And then we'll applaud him. We'll say, Fernando, perfect. Tell you, it's true. Don't ever use any jerseys with anything white and red. The son of a bitch went to have something in the bombonera, was wearing a black thing with a white line here, with a red line here of the Chivas. I wanted to tell him, look, Fernando, shove that jersey up your ass. We don't use those colors, and even less do we use them when we're going to go to a Boca. How could you dare to wear that? I could care less. I don't care if it's from Monterrey, the Chivas, or the fucking bitch that bar. You can't come here with white and red to Boca. Gago, you idiot, find your place. I wanted to see Gago since he liked the suits to have a blue suit with a yellow tie. That'd be great. That'd be great. How's he going to do it? He's a fucking idiot. His mind is not enough for him, but it is for him to wear like La Volpe, another fucking idiot, a stupid idiot, that went to direct it after leading the Mexican team. He went to lead the Boca, and the first one he goes into the Bombonera. He says, I didn't notice that. You're an idiot in every aspect. You're an idiot. La Volpe is such an idiot. So stupid that they gave him precisely. El Coco Basile was guiding us, and the president of the AFA, Julio Rondona, calls him Basile and says, "Look, Coco, you have to guide the selection." Says, "But I need." he had like 10 points. He's about to be a champion. And said to Coco, leave Boca, come to the selection. We need you. We need you quickly. And Coco Basile, Alpha Basile. A guy that I love. There's a voice like this. But I'm guiding Boca here. And Grondona says, we need you here because that's how he would speak. We need you here, Coco. But I'm guiding Boca over here. I'm going to be a champion. What happened? Coco went to the selection. Whom did they call? Whom did Boca call? That stupid idiot La Volpe. He had to play. I mean, I don't want to say something, but he just needed a couple more teams. 4, 5, 6, or I can't remember. The championship was won. It was won. It was in the pocket. Boca would win it. I mean, with their eyes closed. They goes into the Bombonera the first game with a white and red shirt. With a white shirt and a red tie. It was enough to kick him in the ass right there. If I'm the president, I'll look, you're such an idiot and out of place. You'll never enter into Boca again. How can you dare to go to guide a team of Boca with a white shirt and a red tie? How could you think of a fucking idiot? Okay, I'll tell you the story. Boca lost everything and lost the championship that was won because they couldn't win another championship because he came with his ideas, the Gregorian ideas. He changed the whole scheme and the players didn't even know what to play. He changed everything. He had such a team, Boca. We lost that championship. I mean, wow. I mean, look at the story later, and if you want to, in the comments, tell me how many games were left and how we lost that championship. And of course, La Volpe quit because we lost that championship that was won in the pocket because he changed the way of playing. But the story, you have to understand it and know it. Gago should have humbled himself. Did you know what Gago said later in the River game? That is what even more humiliation. He said, hey, aside from the fact that I can't stand a coach that can't speak, coach has to speak well. If I said that we played well. What do you mean they played well? I saw we dominated. We dominated. I saw we dominated. The 1v1s. We had good soccer. What? Because of the declarations. You know why, Riquelme? Because of those declarations. If you hear the declarations of Gago after sawing that embarrassingly team that they should have scored 5 on us. Just like that 5 they should have scored on us. And to hear Gago saying that we played well, I mean, does he take us for idiots, stupid idiots? No, Gago, you're a fucking idiot. The top of a liar. Either you live in a planet that I don't know that is called idiocy. I don't know that planet. Go back to your planet. He said that we played well. The changes that Gago made, he took a defender out, put another defender in. And I said I had the hopes that when we would tie one on one, I said, that's why by a miracle, right? We would tie with Melentiel. I said, Gago, take a defender out. Take Marcos Rojos, take him out. So top if they're going to kick him out, take him out. Or the other defender and put a midfielder or that Changuito Ceballos. No. He didn't do that. He took a defender out and put another defender in. Then he took a midfielder, put another defender. And I said, oh, no. I mean, is this a joke? It was like a joke. The guy cannot guide 1 second. He should never have directed. I think they should have kicked him out many times, many years ago. I've told you, the stupidity has no healing for now. I'll heal it later. But for now, the stupidity, it has no healing. I am so afraid of stupidity. You have to avoid stupid idiots however you can. You have a stupid friend. Don't be his friend anymore. Just like that. I hope you have a bad friends, but not stupid. The stupid idiots ruin your existence. They take it to a planet that is called stupidity. And stupidity, you never escape that because you become a resident of planet stupid. So then you have to humiliate yourself and has to be forgiven. To humiliate yourself and to has to be forgiven. And shall destroy death forever. And Yahweh, the Lord, the new God of the earth, will wipe away all tears from all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth. For Yahweh hath said it. Why? Because Yahweh wanted to. Because He said so. He says, that's my plan. And why? Because I said so. I'm not going to take your opinion. No, it's my plan. Why will all that happen? Because Yahweh says so. Because Yahweh, the new God, says so. And it shall be said in that day. Is the people going to like it? And it shall be said in that day, lo, this is our God. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is the new God, whom we have waited for. We will be glad and rejoiced in his salvation. The people will love it. The people will love it to leave behind the heavy burden of the rebuke. Their own, that of the humans, and of Yahweh. They'll love it. The people don't know how imprisoned they are, how afraid they are under themselves, humans, and God himself. When the new God frees up and teaches how to free up the burdens and the rebuke and starts to apply that justice that I've just told you, the people will love it. They will love that new God. For the hand of the new God shall rest in this mountain, yet Moab, which represents Babylon, this system, shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill, and he shall spread forth his hands in the midst of them, as he that swimmeth spreadeth forth his hands to swim, and he shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands, of the system, which we all know that we live in. And the fortress of the high fort of the walls shall be bring down, lay low. The only way of doing justice, you bring it down, lay low, and bring to the ground, even to the dust. Isaiah 26. On that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city, salvation will God appoint for walls and bulwarks. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust ye in the new God forever. For Yahweh, or the new God, the Lord, is everlasting strength. In the new God is the everlasting strength. For what reason? For he brought down them that dwell on high. Who dwells on high? First of all, God. First of all, God. For the humans, their perception of God. Who dwells in a high place? Some Catholic will say Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Christians going to say the same thing. The Jews are going to say Yahweh. Who dwells in a sublime place? But I tell you, that's that. And also those who live in a lofty place, in a earthly place, which is science, the religions themselves, medicine, the hierarchy, power, money, which are the secret religions or the unions that are not known. All those things are those who are in a sublime, lofty place, untouchable. And he layeth the lofty city low. He layeth it low, even to the ground. They have to be brought down. Every glimpse of what Babylon taught, they have to be brought down to the ground. To the ground. Their teachings, their doctrines, all that brought down to the floor. Not just to tell the truth, it is to say the truth and to humble the lies, to trod it underfoot. He brought it down to the ground. Not enough, he will trod it underfoot, and the feet of the poor, those who have been suffering because of this system, the new God will cause for them that have suffered, the feet of the poor and the steps of the needy, they will end up crushing Babylon and their teachings. That is what you call justice. Not just to take away a system and place another and to say, the one that we had before, oh, no, no, no. It was give or take. But now we have a better one. No, no, that's not the way it is. It is the destruction of lies. But not just the destruction of lies, but rather the humiliation of lies. The humiliation thereof. It's so important, the humiliation. That's why I tell you that every person that does something, they have to be humiliated. It will not be left unpunished for free. No. And the new God causes for them to, for this system to be trod under in every aspect by the feet of the poor that have been suffering due to the system. Of course, that is what justice is. And the way of the justice uprightness, thou, which are upright or just, dost weigh the path of the just. Exactly, because the new God judges all. So then, even judges the path of the just. The just has things that they have to fix. Of course, they could be just, but they have things that they have to fix, like everyone else. Yeah, in the way of thy judgments, O new God, have we waited for thee. Thy name and thy memory are the desire of our soul. Everyone desires this. They do not know that this exists. They cannot express it in this way, but the whole world in their interior desires complete justice. And what that is the humiliation of injustice, or else there's no justice. I have desired thee at night with my soul. That is what every human being has said this. They yearn for this, even if they don't know. Even if they think it's wrong, or they think that consciously that it's a mistake, as long as they're forgiving, that's it, it's over. Let's delete and start with a new slate. Wipe the slate clean. With my soul have I desired thee in the night. Yeah, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Exactly. Justice is not just wipe the slate clean. The dwellers of the world will have to learn justice through judgments. And the judgments is everything that I'm teaching you, which starts with the humiliation of every wickedness. That's why I repeat this word so much, or else you're not going to be able to understand what a true God of justice is. A God of justice is not a forgiving God. A forgiving God does not come to bring justice. They come to forgive. Yeah, I forgive you. I did this, I forgive you. That is what a forgiving God would do. But the one coming is not a forgiving God. It is a justice God. And in order for you to earn that forgiveness, you have to undo the injustices that exist. It's kind of like we would forgive Yahweh and we would say, we forgive you, Yahweh. No, no. We place all the guilt on you. That is exactly the same thing. All the things we placed upon Yahweh. He has to humiliate and humble himself before us for 1,000 years. He has to leave. It's not just anything. Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. Exactly. If I show pity to Kago, I shit myself, he's going to shit on me again. There's no turn of the page. There's no turn of the page. If I show him pity, I know that I'm going to receive that. No, I have to show justice, not pity. Look, you are no good for this job. You did this wrong. You can never have this job again. It is very clear. That is what it is. That is why it clearly says, and if you show pity to the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. Exactly. In the land of righteousness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. He will not understand. If it's simply, this is saying, and I understand it every time I read it, I understand it even more. It's saying that if some idea that you have, I think that Christian is wrong. That actually what he should do is to forgive the world and teach them, and that, no. That would be to show pity to the wicked. If you show just pity to the wicked, then they don't learn righteousness. What you have to do is to humiliate the wicked. In every wickedness that they have done, humiliate them, stump on them, to be stomped on by all those that have received wickedness from him, when it is satisfied, when justice is satisfied, all that is asked by all those that have received wickedness from that person, then barely then can they be forgiven. And he has to, I'm saying, not just humiliated by force. I'm not talking about by force, because a person can be humiliated by force and stomped on by force, but they would not learn justice that way. They would learn terrible hate. You can grab a person, humiliate them, stomp on them, and you did not achieve anything. No, the person has to humble themselves to the ground. That's why I tell you, when we make a mistake, we have to humiliate ourselves. If we do not humble ourselves, we have not learned. It is not by force, because if we were to force them, and they don't want to accept this, for example, if we were to force Gago to say that he's an idiot, we do grab him by force, and we break his face up, and we humble him to the ground, he's not going to learn a thing. When he gets better, he's going to sue us. We don't earn anything. Even if we hit him, we don't earn anything. We want for him, out of his own will, he accepts how stupid he was. And for him to accept, I cannot guide a big team like Boca is too big. I ask you to forgive me. I should have never directed Boca. I cannot hear for him to say, I played well. I wasn't lucky. No, then that's not what I want to hear. What I want to hear from him is to say, I am not capable to guide. I have not understand what Boca is. Boca is a big team, and you made him play like a chicken team, like a little team. That's what I want to hear from him. As long as I don't hear it from him, and not by force, because I could cause him to do it under penalty of something, but it would not satisfy justice. It is not what a person to repeat by force something. No. It has to be born out of them. That is why many people are going to have to experience many things until they get to the point of saying, I have to accept this. I have to accept this. And it'll happen. Pity shall be shown to the wicked, yet he will not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. Yahweh, or the new God, when thy hand is lifted, they will not see, but they shall see and be ashamed for their envy at the people. Yeah, the fire of thine enemies shall devour them. And Yahweh, or the new God, thou wilt ordain peace for us, for thou also hast wrought all our works in us. That part. There's no need to even explain it. Those that envy your people will be ashamed. It's all a metaphor. And fire will consume your enemies, but the fire comes from within. At some point in time, a fire comes from within of shame, and that fire has to consume the wickedness. It is part of the humiliation process. It's not that an eternal fire. No. It's not referring to that. Yahweh, you will give us peace, for thou also hast wrought all our works in us. 13. Yahweh, our God, the new God of the earth. Other lords beside thee have had dominion over us, but by thee only will we make mention of thy name. Or like we read it in the Spanish simple language version, our God, although other gods have dominated over us, you are our only God. That has to be accepted by all in order to enter into the new world. It is a part of the citizenship. This is where we left off last Shabbat. And the next text, which was difficult for me to understand, and I wouldn't understand it sometimes, they are dead. They shall not live. They are deceased. They shall not rise. Therefore hast thou visited and destroyed them, and made all their memory to perish. In the Spanish DHH, it says, they are dead, and they shall not live again. They are not, but only shadows that will not rise again, for you have punished them and destroyed them and done away with every remembrance of them. At a simple glance, I thought that is how it's also interpreted by the Christians. I thought that it spoke about bad people, but those people whom, if I were to show pity to or mercy, they would continue to be wicked. That is why I would relate this text that says, "And pity shall be shown unto the wicked, and will not learn righteousness, and in the land of righteousness he will do wickedly, and will not see the majesty of Yahweh. They are dead." Well, I'll continue reading. "Yahweh, your hand is raised against those people, but they will not see. They will see at the end, and will be ashamed, them who envy thy people. Yeah, the fire of thine enemies shall devour them, and your enemies shall devour thine enemies." And then it says, "They are dead, they will not live. They have deceased, they shall not rise." This is very emphatic. So then I said, I can't understand this, because it doesn't matter if they're enemies of Yahweh or the new God or whatever. But for them to tell me emphatically, when they die, they are dead and they will not be resurrected, it seems to me that it's not what we understand of the scriptures. With that alone, we give reason to the Adventist Church that says that it's an eternal extermination. It is what was difficult for me to understand, and I was not accepting it. But it talks about something else. It doesn't talk about that. I was confused with all the Christian instruction of the way of reading this text. I understood that it was the people that were going to be lost. And once they died, they're dead. Why resurrect them? That's it. They're deceased. They shall not live. They have passed away. They shall not be resurrected. For you punished them. It's not just because of anything, because you punished them and destroyed them and made all their memory to perish. Text like this is Ellen G. White elaborates on, and she says this takes place that after the millennium, when God resurrects these people and destroys them forever, and even takes their memory even from us. That's what they taught me. That let's suppose that my grandparents were lost, so then, and I love them, so then Yahweh, by undoing my grandparents, also undoes the memory of my grandparents. And even if I try to remember them, not even to try, because he deletes them from my memory. So then I'm not going to remember that I have grandparents or any feeling of them. Nothing. Like he undid them, he undid all of their remembrance. So then of all the people that die, all who are saved will not remember that they existed. That is what they taught me. In order to satisfy that, if you remember that you had your mom or your dad and you loved them, or your children, that you love them, how are you going to be happy during the whole eternity if you're going to be remembering that you had a son who didn't accept, he got drunk and he was wicked, killed himself, or he died insulting God and he was lost? How will you ever be happy if you have that memory? Oh no. Magically, God wipes it away. They would use this text that says, "They are dead, they shall not live. They are deceased, they shall not rise. Therefore thou hast punished them and destroyed them and made all their memory to perish." So then he would make you forget those who are saved, and how beautiful. We're not going to remember anymore that we had a son or a father, a wife, a friend who died. And that's it. It's over. A sister. And that's it. You never remember them. How beautiful. That is how God wipes away our tears. This is dog shit. This is dog shit. So what does this text mean? This text is marvelous. And now I am, before I explain it, 100% in agreement with this text. And I understood it. I understood it in the only way that you have to understand it, because it's explicit. And I don't know how I didn't notice before, but there's a cover. And even when we read the Bible, the cover is there. The thing is that we have to take the cover out little by little in pieces. Don't think that the cover does not exist. The cover does exist. Okay. This text does not talk about human people. No. What it talks about is about text number 13, about the text of the invitation. The text that says in Isaiah, I'll read it in the Spanish DHH, Isaiah 26:13. O Lord our God, other lords besides thee have been our masters, but only thou do we recognize as Lord our God. Other gods have dominated over us. Thou art our only God. They are dead. Who are they? They're dead. Those gods, those lords. It's not human beings, individual ones, something else. That is why, when they say to the new God, you are only God, other gods dominated, other lords, religions, sciences, all the stupidity that there's ever been, that is what we served. But now that we recognize you, you are our only God, and the other ones, they are dead. They will not live again. All of the lies that we believed in, that is what is dead. Those false gods are dead. It's not humans. They are dead. They shall not live. For they have deceased. They will not be resurrected. For you have punishment and destroyed them and undid all their memory. It is precisely that it's talking about those other gods that dominated over us. Look at the way it says in the New Living Translation, which in the New Living Translation clarifies all this. I don't know how, but it does. The New Living Translation. Those we served before are dead. It's those. It's not human beings, evil ones. It's those. Those we serve, those gods and lords whom we served before are dead and gone. Their departed spirits will never return. You attacked them and destroyed them, and they are long forgotten. Look at the way it says in the simple language version. I mean, both texts together, Isaiah 26:13 through 14. The Spanish simple language version, our God. All the other gods have dominated over us. You are our only God. Those gods have no life. They are dead gods, and they cannot move. You gave them what they deserve, and now no one remembers them. That is where I comprehended the text, saying, but of course it's not what I had been told, nor what I was trying to interpret. It's not human beings that are shown to be unjust. These false gods are all the ideologies, science, religions, the kings. I'm talking about the kings with their charges, their offices, like David, or the King of England now. Let's say Queen Elizabeth. They're never again going to be kings. The most common people. All those titles of royalty will be passed on away to death. The power, in every aspect, the people which execute or have exercised that title, they will live, but the powers they exercise, they will never again live. In other words, all the powers of this world that prophetically speaking are identified with symbols as a monster, a beast, I don't know, or in other symbols, a mountain, a horn. Those are the powers that die, which are the powers behind the people. And I even venture to say that even the power of the God that all of humanity has always been terrified of and trying to satisfy, which is the biblical God, the God Yahweh. The God Yahweh will no longer exist forever. The authority of that God, not the person. He can come like the person, but no one will recognize him as the God, because the God is the new God, which says, you are our God. The rest are no longer. And I'm referring to as the figure. Yeah, they will recognize the Creator as the Creator, of course, but no longer as the Creator Savior that the whole world believes in. Like the Creator that will continue to guide this humanity, no. And that is the real figure. Now, the created figure in every religion will no longer exist forever. For example, Trinity, which no longer exists anywhere in any universe. It is, does the Trinity exist? It will not. They'll no longer believe in. It'll be placed in complete ridicule in the complete, and also all the religions that have divine Son, like that of Nazareth, like God that comes and to save. It'll no longer believed in whatever Allah or whatever form in which the Jewish people see Yahweh, Hashem. The veil is broken. So then those gods are the ones which die and will not be resurrected forever. And we talk about the powers, the human powers. As well, it could be referring to those with the white robe and science. Those things will be buried. And now they rule the world. Now through science, they enclose the world. Now when this system changes, the whole power that science exercises will be killed, buried, and will never be resurrected again. In other words, lies which are covered with power will never resurrect again. And it is what the text says, our God, all the other gods, whether it might be everything that I've said, this different powers that have dominated over us, you are our only God. Those gods have no life. Those gods that we believed in have no life. They are dead gods, and they cannot be moved. You have given them what they deserve, and now no one remembers them exactly. In one word, all of Babylon, every religion, all science. 15. Thou hast increased the nation. How? O Yahweh, thou hast increased the nation. How does he increase the nation? How is the nation increased? How is the nation increased? Tell me. What is he saying here? The people is increased in two ways, maybe three. Either they make the people have babies, that would be one. Another one, other people are integrated into that people too through immigration per se. And the third one is resurrection. How do you augment the people through resurrection? All three are valid, but here I think that it's referring to resurrection. What? Because what it's about to say in the following text. Thou increased the nation, O new God. Thou hast increased the nation. It says it twice, mind you. Pay attention. Thou hast increased the nation, O new God. Thou hast increased the nation. Thou art glorified. Exactly. If he increases it through resurrection, it's to do magic, it's glorious. It's something else that it's marvelous that you've never paid attention to. You've never paid attention to it. Thou hast removed it far unto all the ends of the earth. What the new God do? Made the ends of the earth be stretched. Of course, the Jews interpret that land, Eretz, is the land of Israel. In a minuscule thought, they say, oh yeah, our land, the land of Israel, will stretch their frontiers towards Egypt or Iran, towards Iran, Euphrates. It's not what it's saying. The scripture talking about a global level. One, it's not talking about Israel. One, and that it's not talking about a little piece of a country. It's talking about the earth. It's talking about the new God in a new land. Thou hast removed it unto the ends of the earth. How could we make a globe bigger? Inflate it. That's not the point. That would be complete stupidity. We have the ends of the earth, and we're absolutely confined by ice wall that no one can go through. And then there's a firmament, whatever material it is. I think that is water because of because this is water up top and water below, so we have water up top. The new God, like I promised you, and I told you without any text, the new God will make the earth bigger if there's resurrection, and we are now. I could not say that we're completely overpopulated because there are many parts in this region that I'm not so sure whether it's uninhabitable because of the climate. If we were to fix the climate, it would all be inhabitable. And if there's lots of water, and if from that water we would reduce it, instead of there being a third of land, just 2/3 of land and only 1/3 of water, we just multiplied the planet by two. By two right there. It's not enough. We have to stretch it out. We have to stretch the ends of the earth. Like I've already told you, evidently, we have to stretch the ends of the earth. But the text says it. And he says it, that the new God does that. Not only does he resurrect, he says, you have increased the nation, O God. Thou hast increased the nation. Thou art glorified. Thou hast stretched all the ends of the earth, the ends of the earth. How marvelous, absolutely marvelous. What other proof did you want of what I've said, that we have to stretch the borders? Look at how it says in the New Living Translation. O Lord, you have made our nation great. Yes, you have made us great. You have extended our borders, and we give you the glory. Look at how it says in the Bible of the Americas, the Bible of the Americas. You have augmented the nation, O Lord, the new God. You have augmented the nation. You have glorified yourself and have made all the limits of the earth be stretched exactly. His nation will be all the earth, because there won't be two nations, there won't be three nations, nor 100 nations. It'll be one sole nation, which is the nation of the Messiah. So then, how do you make the nation of the Messiah to be stretched? By breaking this, by making all this whole earth something that does not even enter our mind. Absolutely. But it'll take place. It'll take place. And there you have a text that the earth will be stretched. It'll be stretched. The text, that is marvelous. And now we shall enter what I have to show you now, but I don't think I'll show you now. I'll leave it for next Shabbat, so that you think about everything that I've told you about the justice and humiliation, about that they have to pay, even putting thumbs down. Those for today and forever, or even negative comments. Number 16 says, the new God, in trouble have they visited thee. They poured out a prayer when thy chastening was upon them. Like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain and crieth out in her pangs, so have we been in thy sight, O Yahweh. I'll leave it up until there. The rest I'll explain next Shabbat. Remember to watch Boca tomorrow, our last regular game, and then we qualify for the playoffs, which are there are two groups, two different boards, the first 8 of the group A and group B, and if we win tomorrow, we'll be the first in the group, and that would give us the advantage of playing in the Bombonera until at least the semifinals, I think. If we tie, we'll be second in the group. It'd be Argentino Juniors, which won yesterday, Oh, I enjoyed that game. Wow. Argentino Juniors beat Estudiantes de La Plata 4-0. Spectacular. Another one that has the white and red. But oh well. If Boca ties tomorrow, we'll be the second in the group. If we win tomorrow against Tigre, we're visiting. I think we're visitors in Tigre. If we beat them, we'll be the first, and then we'll define all of the matchups in the Bombonera that be so convenient. It'd be one, and then the one that wins, and then penalties, and then moving on to the classifying part, and that'll be good. So then tomorrow is the last game of the regular league, and then we'll meet again depending on the positions, the first and the last, and that's the way it is. But it'll be like kill, mata, mata, as the Brazilians say. One stays and the other one passes on by penalties of their own. Just it's like sudden death. It's sudden death. So then be such a good definition, and good thing Gago is not there with us, but we have Erron, which I love the guy. I would want Erron to continue to guide Boca during this year, next year also, and to see how good it goes. The only one that worries me is his name, Erron. The rest, I love it. I love it. The face, the attitude that the guy has, I love it. His name is Erron. We could make a mistake, but maybe it has nothing to do with that. And instead of a huge mistake, he'd glory in, I don't know, whatever. So then tomorrow we play, I think at 2 p.m. or 12. Check the times. Psalm 78, 1-2. Hear, all my people, my law. Hearken thine ears unto the words of my mouth. I shall open my mouth in proverbs. I shall speak hidden things from times of old. What we learned today is the way of the government, the unique one that brings justice. There's no justice if there isn't humiliation on the part that offended, period. There's no free forgiveness. There's no cheap forgiveness. There isn't wipe the slate clean and start over. What there's humiliation, period. But it is humiliation so that what took place does not take place again. Because when the person humbles themselves, so hardly, when they really humiliate themselves, hardly do they make that mistake again. But if they don't humble themselves, they've never even recognized, nor will, and they'll continue to make the mistake. If we keep those type of people in a new just land, they'll continue to do injustices because they have not received the humiliation so as to not do it again. That is what real justice is. It's very important because that is how the government that's coming will be. The other thing is the stupid idiots and the idiocy, they will not receive power. An idiot is more dangerous than a wicked person. It is a lot more dangerous. I prefer for an evil person to be the pilot of a plane than an idiot. Think about it. You have to choose a pilot. What do you want? A wicked person, a very wicked person, or an idiot? And all of you choose. Oh, give me the wicked person. Give me the wicked person. Because the wicked person is not an idiot, so he's going to want to land the plane well. But don't give me an idiot, because the idiot is an idiot, and we'll all die. That is what takes place. That is what happens when an idiot guides you. It is very difficult. It's a very good example of the plane. Magnificent. A flower is born every day. A flower is born every now and then. You hear that voice. As of a delicious bread, delicious to sing in the mind with the cicadas, but in turn, a transformer exists which consumes the best of you, throws you back, demands more and more of you, and there comes a point in which you no longer want. Suck at the liberty's breast. You'll always take it within the heart. They may corrupt you. You may even forget, but she is always there. Yesterday, I had a dream of the hungry, the crazies, those who left, those who are in prison. Today, I woke up singing this song, which has been written some time ago, and it is necessary to sing it once again, every time until it is fulfilled, because the crazies or the hungries, those who are not with us, they are yelling for justice, and the justice comes to this world. The destiny is written. I've just read it to you. The destiny is written, and the end is inevitable. The owner, creator of this earth, comes to hand it over to someone that will do something good with the earth, good with his creation. It is decided, and that is what cometh. When does he come? He should come before the 6,000 years come, probably in 2 or 3 years. For 2028, this should be already being fulfilling the handing over of the power, but it's part of the creator, the owner of the property, and they made me wait for the property, mind you. They had told me yes and all, signed and all, but I had to wait like 2 months in order for them to hand it over. So then, in order for me to start to work on it, because if I compare this with the new land, the first thing that they said is take everything out, the windows, the everything, except for what I promised, the dog in the shed, everything else, nothing was left. I broke everything down, everything, the floors, the doors, the windows, the roof, the floor, everything, and I filled the front. I had to hire those containers to take. I would be taking and throw everything away, and to make the house practically a new one. Everything that I made out to it, and I started to make it even bigger. Exactly, and I want to make it even bigger if I could, even more and more and more, because that is the idea that I have. Exactly, when they give me the property over, to take out what is not good, to change and to make bigger. That is all that there has to be. Semper Fi. I hope you have a very happy month of Ishar that we just started. A very happy countdown. I hope Boca wins. That's already a word in Spanish. In Spanish, I hope sounds like I hope in Allah that we win with Tigre, and that Ron becomes a good trainer for Boca. I'm very happy that Mr. Gago's gone. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live, or we swear with glory to die. The texts that follow that I will teach, and that's why I stopped, because I'm going to really stop and analyze them, because they have a very deep meaning, and when I explain it, it is impressive what those texts say, that you probably don't even imagine. But how tremendous what these texts say. That's why I stopped, because if I were to read them, I would have to explain, and it would take us a long time, and already it's better that today I let you go. Long live the new God of the earth. And the type of justice he brings, the humiliation that type of justice brings with it, so that there's a real justice. So then, long live the God of the earth, long live the sons of Elohim, and hallelujah to every one of you. We shall meet again next Shabbat. Aguante Boca, let's go Boca, aguante the eternal truth, and the new God of the earth.